I'm back. This is part 2. I believe I was over here in the sign of Leo, talking about the moon of the last scene, or 911 call, and the Saturn of the astrological suspect, and so on. So I left off here in Leo. I'm now going to go to Virgo. Okay. Interesting conjunction here. The astrological suspect's moon is at 10 degrees Virgo. Now, I need to mention something about that. Throughout the day, the moon moves very quickly, so his moon might be a few degrees away from that on either side, depending on his birth time, which, of course, I don't have. Anyway, in this scenario, if he was born around the time that would put his moon on this degree, it's conjunct my Mars, okay, at 10 degrees, an exact conjunction. Now, the moon rules preschool-age children, as I've said before. Also, it looks like the letter C, okay? It's either in this direction or this direction. In an astrological chart, it's in this direction. It looks like a backwards C. But that will be important later. As a matter of fact, we have the sign of Cancer here in the 4th house, which is the underlying 4th house, the sign and house that rules if there's no birth time, okay? And Cancer is, of course, water, because it's a water sign. It rules things like lakes and rivers and things like that, the ocean, watery places, kind of like Pisces also. And Scorpio, also a water sign. So, and of course, in this context, I'm thinking of if the person is deceased, the water's near the Patrick Henry Dam. Okay. So I'll move on. Also in Virgo, we have the North Node, the North Node and Jupiter. They are conjunct in her chart of the victim at 22 degrees Virgo. 22 degrees is a critical degree. And it's conjunct my Jupiter at 22 degrees. So my Jupiter and her Jupiter are conjunct along with her North Node. The North Node is thought of as the angel on your shoulder. Okay? And so there is a conjunction between the victim and myself, and it's involved with Jupiter. Jupiter is the justice system. It's higher learning, universities, things along that line. And our Jupiters are conjunct. Now we have something interesting here. This is 0 degrees Libra, right here on this line right here. At 0 degrees, we have the North Node and the North Node, At 0 degrees, we have the vertex of Patrick Henry. Vertex is a fated point. We have the vertex of the astrological suspect at 0 degrees. So vertex conjunct vertex. That's wild. Now the vertex may be a little before or a little after this point right here, depending on the birth time. But in this scenario, they are conjunct. And they are also conjunct my Uranus in Libra at 0 degrees. Uranus rules the sign of Aquarius, of course, 911 calls, emergencies, ambulances, things like that. But it also rules astrologers, which I am one. So as an astrologer here, I'm showing up conjunct both of their vertexes. The vertex of the astrological suspect and Patrick Henry. Wild. That's wild to me. Okay, we're going to keep going in the sign of Libra. Now, let's kind of recap. My astrological suspect is a Libra. Okay, and over here in Taurus, the second house, which is also ruled by Venus, we have the Venus of Patrick Henry. Okay, and then over here in Cancer, which rules preschool age children, because it's ruled by the moon, we have Venus here, which also rules Libra. Okay, and so now we have also water and places by the water. Okay, so we have at 12 degrees Libra, we have Pluto, and that's the Pluto of the astrological suspect, as well as their Mercury of the astrological suspect. And they are conjunct my sun. Okay, so, Pluto is about, like I said, it's the co-ruler of Scorpio. Scorpio is co-ruled by Pluto and Mars. Okay, and it rules things like serial killers and kidnappers and whatnot. Anyway, his is in Libra, and his Mercury is also in Libra, and it's forming a conjunction to my sun, and the sun is, it's the ego, it's the essence of a person. Okay, so it shows sort of my involvement here. The black moon Lilith of the victim is conjunct my sun. The black moon Lilith is at 18 degrees Libra. Conjunct the Mercury of the astrological suspect. It's also within a 4-degree orb. It's a loose orb of 4 degrees. So then we have the Pluto. Patrick Henry's Pluto was in Libra at 25 degrees. And my Mercury is at 29 degrees Libra. That's known as an anaretic degree or a critical degree. So I have a conjunction here with Patrick Henry, okay, which makes sense because I'm communicating right now about a possible corpse, okay, which is represented by Pluto because it rules death and Scorpio and almost everything undesirable. And so it shows me talking about this case in conjunction with him, even though he's been dead a few hundred years. Okay, but it's because I think if the person is deceased, they are in or near this dam, in the water near the dam or near the dam somewhere if deceased. Okay, so that just shows me communicating about this. That's it. It might have other connotations, but right off the bat, that's the one I think of. Okay, we have the astrological suspects' North Node in Scorpio, their Uranus in Scorpio, and their Mars in Scorpio, all within pretty close degrees, all kind of conjunct with each other. And then here we have something a little interesting. We have my Venus in Scorpio at 14 degrees, and it's conjunct the Mars and the vertex of the victim's Mars and vertex at 16 and 18 degrees. So, I'm not really sure about exactly how to talk about this, except for I'm talking about buying and selling or money with conjunction to a missing person, okay? Because it's in Scorpio. Scorpio deals with other people's money and whatnot. And my Venus is here, and of course I'm talking about this person possibly being taken for sex trafficking, okay? And then here we have the astrological suspects, Venus also is in Scorpio. He has Mars and Venus in Scorpio, by the way. She has Mars in Scorpio. His Venus in Scorpio is conjunct my Neptune. Neptune, like I said, it deals with psychics and things like dreams and things like astrology and, you know, the what would you call it, the occult world. I hate to use that term because I don't consider myself part of the occult, but some people do, and that's fine. Anyway, these two are conjunct. My Neptune is conjunct his Venus, and here I'm talking about how I was led to him through psychic means, and I suspect him of doing this for money. And so that's about all I know to say about that. Here we have in Sagittarius. Okay. Now, in a previous video, and I think even on another person's channel, I can't remember when I said this, but I had suspected because the victim has a Sagittarius moon, if they were born before a certain time, their moon's going to be in Sagittarius, that since the moon deals with lost people, that she might be southwest of her home. But I've had some second thoughts about that since this dream, because the Patrick Henry Dam would be northeast of her home. Okay? So, the thing that's significant about the Sagittarius moon part of it is Sagittarius also rules politics. And the Patrick Henry Dam is named after a politician. And so this leads me to believe now at this point that the missing person is more associated with politics than a direction. I was thinking direction when I was thinking of this at first. But, you know, as you study a case and do astrological research, as much as I have, you'll find that sometimes what you thought a few months ago, it might evolve a little bit over time, but this particular point evolved a lot. So I think the missing person is near something that has to do with a politician. Okay? And even psychics and things like that have said this involves somehow a very powerful person. Well, Patrick Henry was pretty politically, you know, he had some, you know, he was well known, he was famous and whatnot. Of course, he had nothing to do with this crime, but having a dam named after him and then possibly one or more people submerged in water near the dam named after him would make him a factor astrologically. Okay, in my opinion, it does. Some astrologers might think I'm full of it. That's fine, I get it. But I think it's worth looking at. I think it's worth researching. I think it's worth exploring and talking about. And that's why I'm doing this. So, this is her moon at 27 degrees Sagittarius. Okay. And then and Patrick Henry, his Uranus is conjunct her moon. For me, this is the same as come on down to The Price is Right. Those bells and lights and whistles go off just like that when I see this, because guess what else Uranus rules? Hydroelectric power, electricity in general, dams. So that's why I think this missing person, if deceased, is near the Patrick Henry Dam. If still alive, somewhere maybe near some sort of electric plant. Could be in another location in another state or something. Near a dam or, like I said, a power plant of some sort. But also near some sort of place involving politics. Or universities or something like that. Because of the moon being in Sagittarius. Okay? So, if still living somewhere in a Sagittarian place, so to speak. Okay, the Saturn, her Saturn is in Sagittarius. and it's conjunct the Neptune of the astrological suspect. Now, Neptune deals with disillusionment, deception, loss. It rules the 12th house of loss, sorrows, troubles, and secrets, and it's conjunct her Saturn. Now, a lot of people born around this time are going to have a Neptune that's conjunct to her Saturn. So if you get to looking at somebody's chart that you know, and their Neptune is in Sagittarius, near 14 degrees, that doesn't mean that they kidnapped her. It's going to rely on other aspects between all of these entities, okay? So, anyway, that's why my view has evolved from she's southwest of her home to she's northeast of her home, if deceased, near Patrick Henry Dam, most likely submerged in water because of Venus here being in Cancer, and also Vertex being in Cancer of the 911 call, okay, and some other reasons too. And like I said, if living somewhere in some sort of Sagittarian environment. There have been cases where people have kidnapped children to raise them. They're wealthy people, black market adoptions, things like that. These would be people that might be powerful or influential, connected to somebody powerful or influential, that sort of thing. So I'm just looking at both scenarios, whether living or deceased, because those are the options. That's it. There's only two options. So, okay, now we go over here to Capricorn, which is the natural ruler of the 10th house. She has Mercury, Pluto, Mercury and Pluto, and Venus in Capricorn. She has 3 planets, and they're conjunct to each other. 14 degrees Venus, 16 degrees Pluto, and 20 degrees Mercury, all here in Capricorn, just a few degrees apart. Capricorn is restrictions. Capricorn, also, like I said earlier, there's more Capricorn serial killers tend to have more victims than any other sign. It's also making an aspect, and not a good one. It's making what I call a quincunx. A quincunx is 150 degrees apart on either side, okay? That's Q-U-I-N-C-U-N-X, quincunx. Okay, so her Pluto, which deals with death and kidnappers and serial killing and whatnot, her Venus, which deals with money and how money is earned, buying and selling, Mercury, dealing with communication, is forming a quincunx, which is not a good thing. Quincunxes are, I don't know of a good quincunx. If anybody knows of a good quincunx, shoot me an email. I want to know about it. It's quincunx to the astrological suspect's Saturn, which deals with restrictions and, in some terms, kidnapping, because, when you kidnap somebody, you're restricting their movement, you're restricting everything about them, whether they eat, whether they can go to the bathroom, you name it. And they are forming a quincunx between here and here. See, Capricorn is across from Cancer, so that's an opposition. So quincunx would be the signs on either side of the opposition. So a quincunx would be from Capricorn to Gemini or Capricorn to Leo, because those are the signs that are on either side of the opposition. Okay? So that's 150 degrees apart. Also, what's significant about this is these 3 planets are also quincunx to these planets in Gemini, namely Mercury. Patrick Henry's Mercury and the Mercury of the 911 call. And Mercury is communication. So there's actually 2 quincunxes here, one on either side, here and here. Okay. I don't want to draw it because I've got 3 yods here and I don't want to mess up my yods that I'm getting ready to talk about. There's actually so many yods I can't count them, but I found 3 that I thought were interesting. So now we have, in the 911 call, we have Pluto, which is the ruler of Scorpio, like I said, and it deals with things like kidnappers, the underworld, everything dark and terrible, conjunct the part of fortune of the 911 call or last seen. Okay. Now over here in Aquarius, we got some interesting things. Let's see. The victim's in Aquarius at 15 degrees. Okay, Patrick Henry's Jupiter is at 17 degrees Aquarius. They are conjunct. Jupiter is luck, either good or bad. Okay. It's kind of an expression, I think. When I think of Jupiter, I think as luck would have it. Some astrologers might not think of it that way, but I do. As luck would have it, there's her sun conjunct his Jupiter. Also conjunct the astrological suspect's part of fortune, which deals with luck, also money. It kind of has maybe a Jupiter kind of feel to it. And it's also conjunct the Saturn of the 911 call. Wow. So we have all of those conjunct right there. 4 planets, 1 for each of these entities. I didn't put anything here of mine in Aquarius because I don't have any planets or anything in Aquarius. I don't even have a vertex. I don't have a part of fortune, a Lilith, nothing in Aquarius. I've probably got some asteroids and things like that in Aquarius, but I don't want to go into all that. But Aquarius also, like I said, it rules things like, what does it rule? Dams, hydroelectric power, electricity. Okay. So there we have it. And the 911 calls Saturn. Remember, Saturn is restrictions. And to me, a kidnapper is very Saturnian because Saturn also rules things like cruelty. You got to be cruel to take somebody away from their home, the people they love, restrict their movement, restrict everything about them. Okay. So I find that that's interesting that those 4 planets, this isn't a planet. A part of fortune is not a planet, by the way. It's a mathematical point in a chart. Okay, no, I'm sorry. It's not. Well, in a way it is. It's actually called an Arabic lot or an Arabic part. Okay, now this might move around a little bit depending on the time, like I said, he was born. So this position might not be exactly correct. It might not be a factor at all. So I'm just putting that out there because the part of fortune moves. It relies on your rising sign and a couple of other things. And without the birth time, I don't have the rising sign. Okay? So I'm saying that can possibly be thrown out. But still, it's enough that the Jupiter of Patrick Henry, the sun of the victim, and the Saturn of the 911 call are all conjunct in Aquarius, which rules dams and hydroelectric power. And the sign of Aquarius. Uranus. I'm sorry, it's ruled by Uranus. Okay, over here in Pisces, we have another conjunction between the victim and Patrick Henry. We have her Neptune, which is marine life, water, fishing holes, and near the Patrick Henry Dam, people do go fishing, from what I understand. I've looked at some videos and pictures and whatnot. There's also a bridge there, I think, called Hammond Bridge or Hammond's Bridge. I'm not sure which. Now, what I found interesting there is I saw a spirit box reading by somebody. And in the spirit box reading, supposedly, I don't know what you know about spirit boxes, but a spirit box is kind of like a seance in a way. The spirit of a person who has gone on to the next world, who is deceased, can speak through something called a spirit box. And the person was asking this missing person, assuming that she was deceased, where she could be located. And she has said on numerous occasions in this spirit box session, near a rock with a C on it. The letter C. Now, what is the vocabulary capability of someone that's really young, like a preschool age child? I did get to looking at pictures around the dam, and on the bridge near the dam, I think the Hammond Bridge, there was some graffiti there. And you know what I found? I found the letter C on a bridge column there. But a child isn't going to probably call it a bridge column. A child isn't probably going to call it a pillar. A child is probably going to call it a rock. And the assumption is that when a person passes on, if they are able to speak through a spirit box or whatever, their vocabulary is going to be that of what it was when they passed on. Okay? If there's any other voices, because sometimes there's multiple voices coming out of the spirit box that have a more advanced vocabulary that might be helping the person who's being questioned answer questions, their vocabulary might be more advanced. But supposedly the spirit of this person through the spirit box said she was near a rock with the letter C. Now the Hammond's Bridge, like I said, it has some graffiti on it, and there's a bridge column or a pillar there with the letter C on it, unless it's been graffitied over that, unless somebody put something over that letter C. What's significant about that is it would be near a fishing hole, which rules Pisces, and there's her Neptune there, which rules those things. And it's conjunct to Patrick Henry's Black Moon Lilith, which is the darker side of life, so to speak. Also, over here in Cancer, in the 4th house, we have Venus, okay, which is females, okay. Cancer is ruled by the moon, which rules missing children, anything lost or missing, right? And what does the moon look like? The letter C, right? Because it's a crescent, right? And so I think that that talk coming out of the spirit box, it might be valid. We don't know. It's the spirit world. That's why I say these videos out here about spirit boxes, psychic knowledge, astrology, tarot, dowsing, not anything law enforcement is interested in, so please don't submit those kind of videos to law enforcement because they don't care about this. They think it's foolishness, basically. And that's fine. By the way, if law enforcement ever watches my stuff, you know, I highly doubt that they ever will, but I have heard that they watch anything on social media or read anything on social media where any creator has ever mentioned the name of any missing person that they might be looking for, that they continue to keep up with that channel or whatever. I don't know if that's true or not, but, you know, if law enforcement wants to stick around and watch my videos, fine, stay around as long as you like. If you have any questions for me, email me. My email is right on my channel. No need to bust through my door or anything like that in the middle of the night. You'll find that I'm very laid back, cooperative, and will answer any questions that you have. So anyway, I'm going to go over here. So the Black Moon Lilith of Patrick Henry and the Neptune of the missing person conjunct, okay, in Pisces, which, like I said, rules things like fishing holes and whatnot. Okay, also another conjunction they have in Pisces, okay, her Chiron, which is where you find your enemies, also where you find your healing, but mostly where you find your enemies, is conjunct his Mars, conjunct Patrick Henry's Mars. So they have a lot of conjunctions, the victim and Patrick Henry. And to me, this one's significant because if she is indeed deceased, you know, she would have found her enemy here, so to speak, in Patrick Henry, even though they don't know each other. but just because that area is named after him. Okay, and it's in Pisces. Pisces rules the 12th house, and what's the 12th house about? Loss, sorrows, troubles, secrets, hidden things, disillusionment, marine life, okay, things that are below the surface of the water, okay. Like I said, I hope that's not the case. I hope it just means she's near water somewhere and not submerged in water. I hope she's near water somewhere and still alive and maybe being very well taken care of by some people that just wanted to do a black market adoption and, you know, just wanted to raise a child. I hope that's the case. Truly, I do. So anyway, I've gone around the wheel and I've talked about all the conjunctions. I'm going to come back in another video and I'm going to talk about the yods. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off because it's going to turn itself off any minute now. But I thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'm going to get off of here now. Bye-bye.